CBC's Briar Stewart joins me now from Calgary with more on this. Briar, also the police chief touching on what happened when the suspect was arrested.
Well, exactly, and police are still clearly trying to piece that together. I'm just going to step out of the way for a moment here and just show you some officers on scene. They've been placing little pylons, really little evidence markers all along the street as they really try to continue to piece together the timeline of events early this morning. Now, here's what we do know, that there was about 20 to 30 guests that attended that house party last night, and that the suspect was invited. He came there, police believe, just after work. Police say that he had brought a weapon with him, but they believe that the weapon that was used in the attack was something that he obtained from the house. Police say they can't say really whether alcohol or drugs were involved. There's nothing pointing to the fact that they were, but they say they can't rule it out. They say all of the 5 victims were basically attacked one by one. As you mentioned, 3 were found dead on scene. 2 others died after being transported to hospital. Police say there was a witness in that house who was a big help to them, because when the first officers arrived, this witness was able to give them some key information that really helped them track down the suspect. We understand that he fled on foot and was found about 40 minutes later. Police say there was a struggle and that they had to subdue him. He was taken to the hospital where he was treated for a dog bite because the canine unit was involved. He's now in police custody, and police say that charges are pending against him. And right now, of course, they're considering first-degree murder charges.
Yes, and he expects those charges to be laid this afternoon in Calgary. Briar Stewart reporting from Calgary. Thank you very much. Live to Calgary, where police are providing an update on the murders of 5 young people. Let's listen.
This is still fairly early in the investigation, so I won't be able to get into a lot of details or be able to answer some questions that you have. Following autopsies completed by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, the following are identified as victims of Tuesday's homicide in Brentwood. Joshua Barkley Hunter, Hunter, 23. Caitlin Ashley Paris, Perras, 23. Jordan Gabriel Segura, Segura, 22. Lawrence Martin Hong, Hong, 27. And Zachariah James Rathwell, Rathwell, 21. Members of our Services Forensic Crime Scene Unit continue to collect evidence at the scene of the home on Butler Crescent Northwest, and there is some potential that their work at the home may continue till at least Saturday, April 19th. We'll do what we can to collapse that scene as soon as possible. The accused in this matter, Matthew DeGrood, will remain in Calgary remand custody pending his next court appearance, which is on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2014. And I will answer whatever questions I can.
Can you confirm whether the family placed a call just a few days before suggesting that they were worried about Matt DeGrood, and they were, essentially it was described as an alert to being issued. Can you confirm that?
So what I can say is that the activities certainly of Matthew leading up to the offense and what communication he had, what devices he used, is a significant part of that investigation that's going on right now. So the devices that he used, the people that he may have contacted, and the actual content of that message certainly forms a significant part of this investigation. So I don't have the content of that. Certainly we wouldn't release that right now. It would likely be something that's brought up in court, but certainly any communication he had, who he communicated with, or what the content was, is something that our investigators are looking at.
His lawyer said that he was at the psychiatric center. Can you just clarify where he is and when he left the psychiatric center and went to remand?
Well, all I can tell you is that he is currently in remand center custody. Now, I understand that there is an assessment going on, but given that that's health information, that's information you'll have to get from his lawyer. We know that he is in custody, remand custody right now.
Has his family or his parents visited him in jail?
I'm not aware of if they have or not.
Do you know if, can you guys say how the victim and the accused knew each other at all? Or the accused actually knew these people?
We understand that the accused knew at least one person at the party. I don't know with regards to the other people that were at that party.
How did he know them?
How did he know who?
How did DeGrood know the one person at the party?
Just family friends, somebody that he's known for a long time. Now, there may be other people that he knew. The people that were at the party, I don't know what the relationship is between all of them. Some may have known each other, some may not have. There were a number of people, I think, throughout the night. The numbers at the party ranged. Some were coming and going, but I don't know if everybody knew everybody, but I can confirm that, at least with regards to our accused, he knew one person very well.
Have you established a timeline at all?
Investigating this crime with one of their an officer's sons involved in this crime?
You know what, certainly the cornerstone of our profession is to investigate matters like this without favor or bias. I think everybody realizes this is the biggest mass homicide in Calgary's history. The investigative excellence that we have in the CPS, the amount of resources that we have dedicated to this file, we are going to, as we do with every file, investigate this to the infinite detail. We also work really, really closely with the Crown. When you look at the experience that we have in our homicide unit, the technology and the resources that we have in our forensic crime scene, our cyber crimes, our tech crimes, all the people, the components that would go into an investigation of this type, the amount of resources that we have with regards to victim assistance, scene containment, just everything, the whole component, 100% confidence in the ability of this organization to conduct this investigation, and we will do a thorough investigation, and certainly the results of that I think you've seen already. Very, very quick response, arrest of the suspect very, very quickly after the offense, and within 20 hours, 5 charges of first-degree murder laid. Now, we work, like I say, work closely with the Crown, and the Crown has addressed that, so they're going to bring in independent, I believe the Edmonton Crown, just to review the file, but 100% confidence in our folks to do a thorough investigation without bias, which is the foundation of what we do.
Some legal experts,
I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, some legal experts, though, have called for another agency to step in. I mean, how would you address the issue of partiality or perception of partiality, and what kind of oversight is there in place to make sure that that doesn't occur?
Well, that's the Crown. In this case, we have to be clear, too, this is not a police officer we're investigating. And, you know, every investigation, we're not going to be checking in to see what connections there are to members of our service. We have to go into an investigation like this, particularly an investigation of this magnitude, with the full knowledge that we're going to do what we need to do to ensure that the case that we put before the courts is above reproach. And like I say, in this case, the amount of resources that we've dedicated, no different than any other investigation, I think speaks to that. And in this case, this will all become clear to the degree and the professionalism of this investigation when it comes before court. But
how many officers are involved right now, and how many hours are each of them spending?
well, I don't have that kind of detail, but there's a number of officers that have had to deal with the initial response, the scene containment. We have a lot of investigative resources between our homicide unit and other major crime units. We have our entire forensic crime scene unit there. Just a number of resources that we put into volunteers and our victim assistance unit, dozens and dozens, probably hundreds of people that have touched this file at some point from the start to where we are right now. So,
Is it being worked on 24 hours a day?
absolutely.
Is it ultimately the Solicitor General to decide how this case moves forward or who oversees it? Or
No, I think, I mean, the Crown can make their decision, I believe, through the Solgen's office as to who's going to review the file. They've made that decision. There is no question in our mind, our confidence that this investigation will be done in a thorough, unbiased manner, like I say, which is the foundation and cornerstone of what we do, and the proof will be when we present this file to court. The fact that 20 hours in, 5 counts of first-degree murder speaks to, I think, the level of professionalism and the results of this investigation.
Can you comment on reports that the officer, the inspector, has suffered from this?
No, I won't comment on that. Thanks.
Now that the autopsies are done, can you say today if these victims were kind of caught off guard or anything that can support your first-degree murder charge?
No, the only thing I can say, of course, is that the deaths were as a result of stabbing. with regards to, I mean, there's going to be a lot of speculation and there's going to be a lot of guessing, and everybody's trying to get that answer as to how this possibly could have happened and did nobody intervene. And, you know, we will hopefully be able to answer that question as we continue on. We're still interviewing people. People are still coming forward, some that had been at the party, some that had left at the party. You know, we may not be able to ever answer that question, but I can tell you that, you know, you don't know how you may react, and it is quite possible that people didn't even know what was going on. People froze. You know, again, we're not going to speculate or try to second guess. We know what the end result was, and hopefully we'll be able to get the answers as to how it happened, the timing of it, and how people reacted or didn't react as we talked to all the witnesses.
So in other words, the autopsies couldn't really...
Other than the cause of death being stabbing, no.
Have you been able to establish, two questions, have you been able to establish kind of the timeline between when the suspect arrived at the house and when like how long it was between that and the first act? And secondly, do you know if any of the victims were staying at the house?
The first question, I don't have the exact timeline. I do know that he came later in the night. Now, as far as the exact time that he got there and when the attack started, I don't have that. But I can say that this was a rental property, and that two of the 5 victims were residents there. The rest were guests.
Do you know, can you say which ones?
I don't have that. So.
When you mentioned that Matthew DeGroote knew at least one person at the party, a family friend, was that person one of the victims or someone else?
I don't believe it was one of the victims, no. And he may have known other people at the party. We just know at least that one person was a friend of his.
Can you address the reports that the suspect was involved in some odd behavior before the event?
Yeah, and I don't want to get into the details as to, again, what his behavior was or what he said or some of the content of the communication that may or may not have happened. Those are very specific and certainly part of that investigative piece that's going to be presented before the courts.
Some partygoers have been told explicitly not to speak to the media. Why?
I'm not aware of that.
No one's been told not to speak to the media?
Well, I'm not aware of that. But it is possible that, you know, and it's not uncommon in a case like this, that when we're still talking to witnesses and we're still at the scene, we're still processing the crime scene, that we want to make sure that the evidence that we get and the statements that we get is true information and hasn't been influenced by what other people have said. So this wouldn't be uncommon, that you don't want a whole lot of people talking to each other until we have a chance to talk to them.
Did Matt DeGroote go straight from Safeway to the party, or did he make any stops in between?
I'm not sure.
His parents expecting him home?
I don't know. I know he left work and went to the party. Whether he stopped partway, I'm not sure.
Can you just confirm something? I think that it was in the Calgary Herald that his mother called 911 and his dad went looking for him.
Again, I don't want to get into too many details as to the circumstances that were leading up to this actual event, because it will form part of that investigative piece that we bring forward. So again, whatever discussions he had, who he contacted, and what the content was, I don't want to get into that right now.
Does the suspect's father remain on the job?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yep.
And what, I'm sorry, just as a follow-up. So what is his main job right now? What is he?
He's a officer within our service. I don't want to get into what his specific tasks are. I mean, he's just a sworn officer.
But a senior one.
Senior sworn officer, yeah, within our service, and he's active duty.
Can you talk about how much time there was between when DeGroote got to the party and when the stabbings began?
I don't know that. No, I can say that he came to the party later after it had started, but I don't have the exact timeline of when he arrived, how much time happened before the first assault happened.
Did he send any bizarre messages?
Again, I won't get into what messages were sent.
Were any of the other people at the party's cell phones taken?
Well, I know we have spoken to a lot of people, and the content of any phones or videos or pictures or whatever, if it's something that's relevant to this case, would have been obtained by the investigators.
Do you have a better count of how many people went inside the house and how many people survived in the house like originally they thought there was 20 people, but since
There was, I mean, there are a number of people that came and went. So at the time of the time of the attack, no, I don't know exactly how many were there.
Wanted to revisit for a moment, Kevin, just the matter of relationship. He goes to the party certainly with one person he's known that he knows. Do you have any kind of sense or any kind of information about whether he knew or had any kind of relationship with the victim specifically?
I don't know. And again, there was no indication. There didn't seem to be any precursors to this as far as any grudge or any vendetta or anything that would, result in a motivation for this attack. Certainly motive is something we're trying to determine right now. He was at the party. He was a welcome guest at the party. He was mingling with the members of, or the people that were at the party. When the attack happened, why it happened, and who got attacked, those are details that'll certainly come out, but I don't have that right now.
Safe to say at this point, though, that relationship's unclear. It's not a matter of saying for sure these people are strangers to him or friends.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know how well he knew these people or if he even knew these people.
So just to clarify what you're saying, there was a period in which he was mingling?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, he didn't show up at the party and then start stabbing. I can say that definitively. How much time he was there mingling or visiting or talking to people, I don't have that exact time.
Can you just clarify a little bit more specifically, or speak to it a little bit more bluntly, the issue of mental illness, if there are any indications in the investigation so far that Matt DeGrood was suffering from any mental illness at all? That'll
be a significant part of what we're looking at right now. And again, it speaks to his state of mind or possible motive and why that we're looking right now, or why he's having an assessment right now. And I won't get into those conversations or what people's observations were, because it is an important piece of this file.
Aside from alcohol, were there any other drugs at the party?
Yeah, not that we're aware of. We know it was a party. It wasn't a wild, out-of-control party. I mean, we've talked to the neighbors, and for the most part, a lot of them didn't even know what was going on. So it was a very controlled, well-behaved group. And there was some alcohol there, but certainly alcohol didn't play a factor, and I don't believe the drugs were even present. I don't know.
And there was nothing found in Matt DeGrood's system?
We don't know that yet, because the toxicology takes time to come back.
Sorry, how many witnesses have you guys spoken to?
Oh, there's been a number.
Have they been helpful in terms
Very,
of what
yeah.
may have started this?
Well, as far as details as to what they saw or what they believe or what they heard, I won't get into. But from the point of when this situation happened, a number of witnesses were immediately transported up to our headquarters here and interviewed right away. So we've been able to get really detailed information, critical information to the early stages and what happened in this file. That certainly played a role in the fact that we've already laid 5 counts of first-degree murder.
Were the victims found in different rooms with the same?
Yeah, I can just say that there were the 3 males that were found upon police arrival that were already deceased, 1 female that was injured, who was transported, that was also in the house, and one male on the front lawn that was injured and transported. But I won't get into exactly where they were within the house.
Is there any explanation as to why some of the other party goers did not come?
No, and again, I think that speaks to that guessing, speculation as to how this could possibly happen. How could people not step in, and why didn't people do what they didn't do? We don't really. Again, unless you were there and saw it happening or could say what was in the mental state of all the people there, we don't know how it happened.
That, of course, is Calgary Police updating the media and the country on the city's worst mass murder there. Matthew DeGrood, who is accused of stabbing 5 people, a horrific stabbing rampage on Tuesday. His next court appearance, April 22nd. A lot of people have questions. Was he mentally ill? Did he know the people at the party? The police giving a few details here, saying that he was invited to the party, he was mingling and speaking to people there before the incident happened. They don't know what the motive is, whether there was a grudge or a fight. They're not sure of what happened there. The investigation also will continue into what kind of devices were used, who he contacted, how he got there. He got there right after work. He knew at least 1 person at the party. This is the information we are finding out. DeGrood's father, a senior sworn officer there in the force, continuing to work, and police saying they will continue their investigation as the suspect undergoes
psychiatric assessment. Now, still in Calgary, of course, the community there is reacting. A memorial is taking place as we speak. That's happening right there. We go right back to Calgary as people gather together to discuss what happened in their city when 5 students were stabbed at a house party. 22-year-old Matthew DeGroot accused of grabbing a knife at that party and stabbing 5 students. Let's listen in for a bit. You can see dozens of people there in Calgary getting together.
Points that we've been hearing a lot about is about the music, and that's where I met 2 of the lost loved ones. And to honor them, I would like to sing a song that makes me think about them. I have to pause for a minute. Every night in my dreams I see you, I feel.
Many people there remembering the 5 students that lost their lives in Calgary's worst mass murder, a memorial taking place right now in that city.